And the purpose of this special meeting study session is to discuss amendments to the sign ordinance of the City of Romulus Code of Ordinances. Madam Chair, roll call was taken at our previous special meeting, and we do have a quorum for this special meeting. The special meeting agenda is as follows. Number 1, roll call. Number 2, agenda. Number 3, discussion, sign ordinance amendment. Number 4 is public comment, and number 5 is adjournment. And a motion would be in order to accept this special meeting study session agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been motioned by Mr. Jones, supported by Ms. Roscoe for the approval of the agenda for this special meeting. Mr. Jones? Yes. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wilhite?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We're now into the discussion portion of the agenda, and I'm not sure who's going to lead off the discussion. I believe it's going to be Mayor
Good evening.
McClay.
Yes, this is, I'm sorry. I'm just introducing Jeff, and he's going to do a quick synopsis of the need for the study session for the sign ordinance. This is something that was outdated when I was a building official. Unfortunately, I never had the time allocated. It spoke of signs that were no longer in use, and the industry had changed. So it was time to take a look at this. So Jeff, thank you for taking the time and working with your associates to revamp this and make it more streamlined so you can, again, work on getting people through process and have a more modern, in tune with the times of the type of LED signs and things that we have out there in the market now. So thank you.
Good evening, council. Thanks for taking the time for the study session. Yeah, as the mayor pointed out, our main goal with the amendment of the sign ordinance was to modernize it and then make it content neutral and easier to read and understand for potential businesses that are getting signs in, and us also to review it so there's not conflicting things. So I was just going to go over some of the things that we did and some of the highlights, and then answer any questions you might have. So we made it content neutral, so it was more legally defensible. So there was a lot of stuff in our old sign ordinance that regulates the signs based on what the sign says, instead of how the sign functions. So we changed that and revised it, focusing on size, placement, height, safety, and all those things as well. We reorganized the ordinance to make it more user-friendly. We simplified the sign tables, eliminated a bunch of old pictures that were, it was just made it very confusing. We separated the residential to non-residential districts in those tables as well, so they weren't all mixed in one. Much easier to read tables, so you can look through the sign ordinance in 48.7 in keynotes and everything, so it's pretty clear to go through new reviews and know what's expected without changing the whole community. You know what I mean? We didn't create a bunch of non-conforming signs with this ordinance. I actually had all of our building inspectors do like sign reviews on like sheets and different developments we brought in with our old ordinance and run through them to see if it was easier, clearer for them to go through and didn't create any unseen issues, and all that went very smoothly as well. Downtown, we added a little bit downtown so we could make it a little more easier for businesses, small businesses in a walkable area. Like projecting signs were allowed. We increased the square footage from 8 to 16. Window signage, instead of just 25% of windows, now it's part of your entire wall signage. So if you're allotted X amount of square foot for your wall signage and you want to put window designs on your windows, you're allowed to do that now as long as everything meets. So it makes it a little more friendly for businesses and small business in a walkable community to have some things that people can see from across the street or walking down the road or anything like that. And the other thing, temporary signs, we consolidated that and clarified the temporary signs so it's easier for people that want to put sandwich boards up or grand opening signs or anything like that. We made that a lot clearer and easier to read. And then we added a section on electronic message signs and the standards just for modernizing the signs that are around here, and that focuses on make sure brightness and timing and animation and glare control and all that stuff, make sure it's still safe, there's still the clear vision requirements and everything, but it also gives business the opportunity to have a more modernized sign. And then billboard signs, we did make a few changes on the billboards as well. Those are basically not major changes. They're allowed within 100 foot of the freeway, only in the M1, M2, or MT district. You're not allowed to have one within 1,000 feet of the other, and they have to be on their own separate lot, which means they would have to get easements and have a separate portion of lot and all that as well. We didn't make them any bigger or don't allow them to be any taller than 45 feet to the top. And the main goal of this whole rewrite, which has been a long time in coming, and I thank Carlisle Workman because they did a lot of work on this, helping us through this, was to just make it more modernized, clear, easier to read for potential permit applicants and for us, so we can, enforce the ordinance clearly. And then I know, speaking with Mr. Greco, he had a couple things he wanted to point out.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kemp. So I had an opportunity to go through the ordinance in the packet. I was not part of putting it together. But just a couple of things. Actually, I noticed, Jeff, with regard to the electronic signs section, the 48-8, actually in the text, it's 49. It says 49, so you can either change that one to 48.
Okay.
And then throughout the text on several occasions, I saw it says article. That word needs to be changed to chapter, because there is no, this is just a chapter, there is no underlying article in it. So the new sections, probably from Carlisle Workman, because probably the ones that they're working on, it says article. So we want to swap out article with chapter, because this is chapter 48, and that's it. There's no underlying article. So those are just two non-substantive things. But one, just to the council and through the chair, one section, which is 48.9, which is the process for enforcing violations. If you go to 48.9, it provides, for violations of this chapter, the building code official shall send a notice, it says by certified mail, to the address to the property owner and the owner of the sign at their last known address. I'm gonna change that. And so later on, you're gonna approve, if you want, if you're interested in approving the changes, you can approve it. And then on the second reading, we'll have the actual text with some of my changes or some corrections in it, so you can approve it the next time. What I'm suggesting is, instead of certified mail, we just send it regular US mail. I mean, they're supposed to have a business address with us. They're supposed to do it. I don't like waiting for a signature back. If we don't have to wait for a signature back, we just put it in the mail, they're put on notice, and within 7 days, they're supposed to correct it. If we don't need to wait for a signature, there's no reason. I mean, there are some things under the law, like service of a lawsuit. You need to personally serve someone or get like a signed green card back that shows that personal service. There's no requirement here, so we want to just fulfill it by putting it in the mail to it. And then for this section, it says, should the sign not be removed or repaired within the time specified, the building code official shall have the authority to remove the sign, and the property owner shall be liable for the cost thereof. I always have some issues or concerns regarding the city of Romulus, whether it's the building department or not, going onto private property without, there's constitutional issues with searches and seizures. So it's a proposed change that you guys will see. I put, if the violation poses a risk to public health and safety, then the city may immediately take such measures that are necessary to correct the violation and make the situation safe, and the property owner and the owner shall be responsible to reimburse the city for any costs associated with making that safe. And if it's not removed or repaired within the time specified in the notice, if we don't go on and do it, then the city may enforce provisions in this chapter in accordance with section 4811 of the chapter, the way we would normally enforce things, citations, injunctions, whatever we want to do. So that would be my change to section 48-9. And then, one thing I noticed, so as you may recall, it's been a few years now, when I first came in front of you guys. And as you recall, I don't know, it's 2017 or 18, when some of you that were here, Muni Code, like re-changed our code. They come in every, I don't know what their recommendation is, every 10 years, they come in and kind of recodify it to like, because there's always amendments and things and stuff, and they just kind of, they don't change it, but they recodify it, and then we do it. And then some of the things got misaligned in it. So in our Code of Ordinances, at the beginning in Section 1, Chapter 1, it says, everything that's a violation of any of these ordinances is a 90-day misdemeanor, okay? Which we don't want for everything. Some of the things we want civil infractions, like we've done the litter trash civil infractions. We've talked about like no dog license, we haven't changed that yet, civil infractions. And the way it had there is there were certain chapters that were supposed to be civil infractions, but they don't match up anymore, okay? So it might be something that we need to fix, or it is something we need to fix. But in this one, when I looked at this chapter for the signs, which is basically, you know, a lot of municipalities have the signs stuff as part of their zoning ordinance. Here, the city of Romulus has it outside of it. I went to check our zoning ordinance, and it refers to this ordinance, so it's fine, it's zoning. So I think my recommendation would be that this ordinance be enforced the same way we do the zoning ordinance, which is essentially making a civil infraction, so we can issue tickets and get injunctions quicker than just issuing misdemeanor violations. And if they don't show up or we don't get contact from the owner, it just goes into warrant status and nothing really happens. So my suggestion would be that we add a section of 49-11, which is violations and penalties, which deems these portions a civil infraction for every day that they're in violation. And if it's a third violation, we're able to, if we want, issue it as a misdemeanor, because if it's getting gauged up. But also, in addition to any of the remedies, the city may bring in action for an injunction or other process to restrain or prevent a violation, so we actually can get a court order to take it down. All right, so those would be my suggested changes that, you know, if you're inclined to approve the changes that Mr. Kemp has suggested, we could be, you know, we're gonna approve the way it's been presented to us today with some of the changes that the city attorney has suggested, of which it will be in complete form in front of you for the second reading.
Okay, so
Yeah, go ahead.
do we need to clean this up before we approve it? Yeah, because we got a lot going on here with your aircon. Can you usually look at these before we even kind of?
Yeah, I just saw them today, actually.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't
Yeah,
see it,
can
yeah,
we-
so I didn't review them before. Go ahead.
Yeah, Stacy.
I just have a quick question, and it's only because I see Regina in the audience, and I thought, what a question. The window sign, it says 25% of window service. I know we're talking about signs, but does this apply to paintings?
Our old ordinance would, but our new ordinance, these changes, the window signage would just be part of, anything over 25% is just part of the overall wall signage. So if you're allowed 2 square foot per time the lineal foot of your wall, then your windows could be covered with paintings or whatever it may
Okay.
be, and still be.
I just thought it might be a question that
actually
she's
makes it-
thinking about.
It actually makes it a
So,
lot more flexible downtown.
okay.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I
Miss-
have a question. Attorney Greco, can you explain, or Jeff, section 48-9, section 4? I'm assuming that you're talking about campaign signs or election signs where it says in recognition that there is a need for additional expression of speech prior to a scheduled election. The following applies for a period of 60 days prior to and 3 days after a city-designated election day on which there is at least one ballot item. And I know for a while, we haven't had anything that actually address election signs and
Political
campaign signs, which it's nice to see this, but could you explain that just a little bit?
I wasn't part of the drafting.
So.
Okay.
Now, I did talk to Carlisle Worman, he added that in, is because they're temporary signs, right, they're allowed. So if the temporary signs can go up for an election, we don't want them around forever, you know what I mean? So when the election, so
Sure.
much time before it starts, and then so much time after it starts.
Right, and I thought, years and years ago, before my time, there was a section that dealt with campaign and election signs, and then it was taken out because of a Supreme Court case dealing with campaign signs. So I just didn't, did something change, or is this allowed? And I guess that's one of the things I'm not.
Now, we've never done an enforcement on a campaign sign or political sign.
Right, because
that I can remember.
because of some changes, I think there was a Supreme Court case, so that section, I think it used to be like 30 days or 60 days, and again, we're going way back, way before my time. And so that was taken out, so there was nothing specific as far as saying when campaign signs can go up and then when they're collected, because that has always been a concern and, of when they can be collected. So that's just something, just needed a little bit of clarity on that. Unless, again, if it's changed, if it's allowed, that's great. It's nice that we have something in here, but it was taken out. So I don't know if we can just probably get a legal opinion, or at least if, I don't know,
To the chair.
not asking right.
Yeah, there are a couple modifications to this, and we need legal counsel. I would prefer to take this back and pull it off the agenda for tonight for an action item and let us clean it up.
Okay.
And we can investigate just to make sure where we're at with the election signs as well, too. So I like
Yeah.
some guardrails on there for that, but are they already enforced at a higher level? And we need to make sure.
And if I would say, I know, and I apologize in that I know, Jeff, when we were talking about the study session and this particular agenda item, that, I didn't realize, sometimes things are so straightforward, it doesn't take a lot to us, that it's, putting it on tonight's agenda would be first reading, and then after, any modifications then would come back for second reading, since it would be fresh in your mind. So that was kind of my suggestion. No, I think we could put it on the agenda for tonight. So I do apologize for that.
No,
So-
because Dave seemed like he had several recommendations, if it was like maybe something here and there, but I think he has enough that we need to probably, like the Mayor said, clean it up a little bit and bring it back, so.
Through the chair.
Ms. Abdo?
One of the issues that got brought up during this election, and most people followed the rules, but there were signs placed near stop signs and, on city property, and maybe that could be addressed. And
I think they're not allowed. I mean, they can be pulled if they're in the right of way.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're in the wrong spot, yeah.
Right.
The tough part has always been the enforcement. As formal building official, like, hey, we know some candidates put a sign in road right away, and say, for instance, I was running for the office of mayor, and I put my signs in road right away. Is the ordinance guy really going to go after me on it? It puts people in an awkward position. You'd hope that everybody running for office would get the rules and regulations and follow those. Also, removing your sign in a timely fashion, but people should always get permission. We never put any of my signs on a lot, we didn't have permission, but it does seem to be a trend. If somebody puts a sign at an intersection, several people put a sign up at the intersection. And then we did have a couple enforcements with dilapidated signs on the building official, and also signs in road right away when they created a vision hazard. So we can definitely look at some guardrails around campaign signs and.
maybe just put something in there to
Yeah.
that effect.
Yeah, and I know that out there right now, there's still campaign signs that are out there from other candidates who didn't win. And so how do we make sure that they're all cleaned up and it takes care of the community? So we can add some guardrails on that, make sure that they're legal to enforce, and figure out how do we move forward on those two.
Okay.
Through the
because-
chair,
Ms.
if I can, I'm sorry. And what we've done in the past is the only guidelines that we had were through MDOT.
Okay.
And that's what we would share with those who were campaigning, were the guidelines from
Right.
MDOT. That's all that we had. And,
Right.
every cycle, we were constantly looking to see if there were changes. So those were the guidelines that, that we followed, so.
So
if-
even when we can campaign, you can put them out in so much a time period, like, I don't know how many days before the election, you gotta pick them up before, do we have those guidelines?
No, the timelines is when you can put the campaign
Right.
signs out,
And when you
then
have to
when you
pick
can
'em up.
collect them, that's what was rescinded from our ordinance. But as
Okay.
far as what still was enforceable was, like, if you were placing signs in right-of-ways and things for safety.
Okay.
And
We still
again, we
enforce
were
that.
following, right, and that's all we had to share as far as information were the guidelines from MDOT. So,
For MDOT, okay.
you know, it'll be interesting, you know.
Is that something we can pull, just to use as a reference? I mean,
Here is a map of
Yeah,
safe.
and I apologize, because I spent a lot of time. on
I know you
The
did.
meat and potatoes of
Yeah.
the signs that we usually see and permit all the time.
Gotcha.
Obviously, political signs are not,
Yeah.
people just put them up,
Okay.
they're free, we don't permit them, we don't take them down, you know what I mean?
Okay.
We don't touch them, so I did not spend a lot of time
Okay.
looking into the political side of the things that were brought up here tonight,
Mhm.
more of the
Yeah.
changes to modernize the ordinance, so that I'll look into, because we
No, I
usually don't,
get
we do
you.
pull a lot of signs that cause vision problems and everything, we do enforcements, and we do pull a lot of signs in the right of way, like
Sure.
every week, every
Mhm.
2 weeks almost.
Yeah.
But, we never pull political signs.
gotcha.
You know, just a suggestion too, what we might be able to do is, if those are out there, maybe we have an educational pamphlet we give out to everybody who files to run for office in Romulus, and these are our rules and regulations and suggestions, and then if they put a sign on the road right away, if we remove it, we store it at PD and they can come and get it, because we all know that they cost money, so.
Yeah, so through the chair,
Yeah.
if I may, that, we did do
Yeah,
that, and
that's
we
what I
do
thought.
that. We do that at
Yeah.
every election during orientation. And we
Right.
pull what is, you know, current from MDOT, the website, and I usually will, you know, contact legal counsel and say, hey, has anything changed? And so that's all we have. So we do go through a complete orientation about campaign signs, making sure they're not in the right of way. You know, we got to have permission wherever they're placing these signs. I mean, we kind of have a whole
Yeah.
list, and I could share that as far as the do's and the don'ts and suggestions as far as campaign signs. So, yeah.
And I don't think it's no shadow on you, Jeff. I just think you're in front of a lot of the elected officials up there. So, you know, and campaigning, and I know, you know, with, like you said, Ellen, with the orientation, you know, it's discussed. So I think it might be something, since you're cleaning it up,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
absolutely.
just take those back to it as well. Like I said, no reflection on you, but things come up as we get in the discussion, I think.
No, we provide, and as you
Yeah.
recall, we provided the information and we print everything out and, you know, actually, you know, distribute those out, so, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Sorry.
No, so other than like the political signs
Uh-huh.
and the
And
enforcement
days.
language he wants to clean up for the rest of the things.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other questions on?
Anybody? No, think we can. And the political signs is Ellen's fault.
I'm sorry. Oh, my gosh, I'm sorry.
I'm just messing
No,
with
you're fine. Is there any more discussions, council, with regards to the sign ordinance, the amendments to the sign ordinance? If not, then this is appearing under, actually, my report. So we'll have to amend the agenda
Yeah.
to remove this agenda item 8A off. We don't need to table or postpone, we'll just
Okay.
amend the agenda.
Okay.
Just amend the agenda at the
Okay.
beginning, so. Okay, if there's no more discussion, at this time, the agenda calls for public comment. This
Okay.
is a portion of the meeting where those of you that are in the audience, if you'd like to have remarks, comments to the city council concerning the proposed sign ordinance, you may do so at this time. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Any additional time will be upon the consent of the chairperson. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to have comments at this time?
Okay, open up, we got the sign ordinance, any comments? All right.
To the chair.
Mr.
Just
James?
again, I want to thank Jeff and the team for.
Yeah.
This is, you know, this is on top of their daily responsibilities
Yeah.
and duties, so, there's a reason I didn't get to it when I was a building official. I knew it was outdated, old, antiquated. To me, it seemed like an ordinance, the city just needed an ordinance, and they drafted it, and it was very cumbersome, very hard to work with, so Jeff,
Yeah.
thanks for
Thank
taking the
you,
time to go
Jeff.
through this, and
Thank
it's
you.
gonna streamline things in that department a little
Yeah.
bit more, so.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, there are no more comments or remarks. Number 5 is adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, seconded by Ms. Roscoe to adjourn this special meeting. Mr. Wadsworth? Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Wellhite?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, we are adjourned. Next meeting, our regular meeting is at 7:30.